Tennis, historically, has been a rather elitist sport, beginning in the monastic cloisters in France in the 12th century as a game using the palm of your hand, but quickly gained popularity in England with rackets in the 1870s. Tennis initially was known as lawn tennis because it was usually played on grass courts by ladies and gentlemen of the Victorian era, eventually becoming an Olympic event with the Davis Cup in the 1900s. Moving into the 20th and now 21st century, tennis continues to grow in popularity with its introduction of amateurs and champions playing in tournaments. Access to tennis also increased in the late 1960s due to televised tournaments. Eventually, more people of all economic backgrounds could join in, but it was expensive. The equipment, the lessons, even finding a location that was public, although it has certainly become more accessible, but not necessarily to everyone. I imagine you're wondering, what does tennis have to do with Small and Gutsy? Just like many other sports, tennis has the opportunity to do good for those less fortunate. Sports scholarships exist for the very best players, and our guest today is a recipient as well as a tennis professional ranked 29th in the world in the 1980s and a strong believer in giving back. Welcome to Small and Gutsy, a podcast featuring interviews with nonprofit and social impact organizations under $10 million. My name is Laura Witkoff, and I'm excited and proud to be your host. My hope is that you love the stories as much as we do, and perhaps you will find needed services, a job, volunteer, invest in, or donate. Feel free to pass along any valuable information you hear today to others, and remember to send me the name of any organization you'd like featured at reachus@theintrinsicgroup.com. At 13 years old, Pablo Arraya came to the United States to play tennis at the Orange Bowl World Championship as an exchange student for 2 months. A tennis coach scouted him and offered him a full scholarship to the University of Arkansas. Pablo later became one of the top players in the world. Pablo recognized the need to serve others, and 26 years ago, he opened the Arraya Tennis Academy, training many national champions and international players while providing over 120 tennis scholarships. From this effort, more recently, Tennis for a Purpose was born. Its mission is to provide underprivileged youth with an athletic community and a positive environment, encouraging responsibility, discipline, healthy habits, and supports with college opportunities. I am so very excited to introduce my guest today, founder and director, Pablo Arraya. So let's get started.
Hi, what an introduction. My gosh, that's so nice. But I also love the historic part of it, you know, how tennis started. And yeah. I can see that you've been really doing your homework.
Well, my guests are important, as are you.
Thank you.
And I like to show that not only do I do the research, but there's a deep background that people don't always know about tennis. And I think the fact that it continues in some way, Pablo, to be elitist is an important reason why you're doing what you're doing. You find talent in kids who would have never had the opportunity to excel at something and change their lives forever.
The same thing happened to me. I mean, when I first came to the US, I came to play the World Championships, and it was all, 13, 14-year-olds in a tennis park in Miami. I just couldn't believe how beautiful the United States was, especially Miami. I just fell in love with it coming from, a third world country.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that somebody just told me, hey, we'll take care of you forever. Mm-hmm. Just for the simple fact that, that I was good at this sport that I love so much, by the way.
It's so true. You have such a passion. Being 29 in the world is amazing. And you've converted that celebrity to something so amazing for other people.
I'll just give you an example. The last person that we actually helped out, okay? I went to Mexico to give a tennis conference, okay? And I found an 11-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. She had been waiting for this conference for 2 or 3 months. She came from another town, took a bus with her dad. She had to sleep over at the club. And she came and she told me, you know what? If you're my coach, I'm going to be the best in the world. Really with such a personality. And I go, wow. Mm-hmm. So I just went over, hit a little bit with her. We invited her to Miami. She didn't have rackets. She didn't have proper tennis shoes and, place to stay, anything. But she went and competed in the World Championships. We trained her for about 3 months. Unknown in Mexico, she came out of 300 kids as number 5th player in the world. She got calls from IMG, from different representatives and clothes and Nike. And the good news is that she recognized it. She really felt that her life had changed due to her hard work and due to actually many, many ethical things that she had. She was disciplined, she was perseverant, and especially she had faith. And that's what really worked out for her. And right now, she's back in Mexico. Her life has completely changed, and I'm just so happy that I was there, given the opportunity to help out and really to start something completely new.
You were receptive, though, to her enthusiasm and her energy. And then you saw something when you played with her. You have this desire to see children like this excel because it does change their lives.
I work with children a lot. I love kids. They are really ethical. They normally don't lie, or, they are easier to laugh. And that's another thing with sports. The first ball that they chase, they start smiling. Movement just helps a lot. I'm just, 100% behind trying to talk to them. I actually want them to like me in a way. I know that I give them something special by just giving them a sport. I'm not so much into the competition of being number one or beating the other person.
Right.
I just like the fact that I can teach them good flexibility, mobility, and technique. I've actually started once with a 7-year-old who ended up number 1 in the US.
Wow.
When he turned 16, I decided I wanted to let it go because that's not the path that I wanted to go. I didn't want to start traveling again. So many years of traveling as a pro. And
you're all about sort of how you're building their insides and using tennis as a platform to be able to do that.
As a coach, I was the coach for my national team. It's the Davis Cup, it's called. It's a very, very, big tournament that's played amongst nations.
Yeah.
And I told my team, hey, guys, I'm with you. And I told them many, many positive things. But if the ball is going to go in one hair in, I'm not going to go and argue to try to win, which you see a lot in coaching right now. Yes. In the long run, especially if they're the future, if you just keep saying the truth, it's going to work out one way or another, and they're going to learn a lot more. I use sports, to more or less show them, to try to be thoughtful about when you do something good or you do something bad.
I love that. It really is a platform of being a good person.
Well, it's helped me. Listen, at 13 years old, there's an analyst and also a Wimbledon champion called Paul Anacone. When I was 13, I gave him a bad call, and I still remember. Every time I see him, I go, oh, Paul, it's actually, we laugh now, we're 12, 13 years old. Every single time that I see him in a restaurant, we worked on TV together. Every time I gotta go to Paul, and I go, Paul, man, I feel so bad that I gave you that call. Another example I want to give you real quick one. Okay, so there's this girl who's she was a little bit shy at the beginning, okay? But then we befriended each other because I teach her. She's actually getting pretty good. She is a great singer. So what she's doing is she's learning rhythm, bounce, hit, like, the ball bounces here. She's learning rhythm by singing while she plays. It's the funnest, for me, it's things, for me to teach a person that's so talented, and it's taking it through sports. Now she loves tennis, and now she wants to make the tennis team. It's a win for both of us.
It's totally a win. And what I want to comment on is you naturally and probably intentionally figure out what works for each individual, and you help them access it. So you're not trying to suppress that. You're actually bringing it out in someone. But that's unusual, Pablo. I really need to give you credit for that. To sing on the court could be distracting, right? And yet you're encouraging it because it's a natural rhythm that this kid has. And why wouldn't you? It's a beautiful thing that you're doing.
With her and with other people, it's super important to respect them, even though, they're 11, 12-year-olds. Think about it. 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, they're in school. They're told to be quiet, not to move. And they are in a bit, suppressive ambience compared to a tennis court, where if you're a little bit upset, move a little bit and you're going to feel a little bit better. If you're breathing and, doing sports, you're going to be feeling better. So, I'm lucky enough to recognize most of the kids and I love to do it.
So I want to take a step back a little bit. One of the things that you said is at 13, you had that experience and you wanted to give it to others. And I would love for you to share sort of that point of transition. I know you started the Academy 26 years ago. And so share with our listeners how that happened.
First of all, when I saw that my career was coming to an end, I started going to Peru, which is where I played for Peru for many, many years. I played the Olympics for them, Davis Cup. And I saw that I had a platform to help out anybody I wanted because I was on TV all the time. At the beginning, we helped out the ball boys, and we saw that we had a very big response, and we ended up, getting equipment from people, which doesn't really happen in a third world country that easy.
Yeah.
And then, we started getting access for the kids to go and play in different clubs. So I saw it snowball, and I go, oh my God, I'm naturally a very unorganized person for some ways. So, but I go, wow, we should maybe make something out of this. And I remember a nonprofit organization in Peru that helped me get equipment. We contributed for like 12 years just with the events that we were doing, but I didn't have a nonprofit. I was just helping here and there. Then I started the professional part. I quit tennis, and I was actually in the tournament of Miami. I lost, which I thought it was a terrible loss, but now that I think about it, it wasn't that bad. And walking around a little depressed, actually running because I wanted to get this out of my head. A guy from Key Biscayne, which is a beautiful place, told me, hey, you want to take care of this club? Because in 2 months, if somebody doesn't take care of the club, they're going to turn it, put it down and do a parking. Yeah, like a song, So, yeah, for sure, I'll try it. And, after that, the club started doing really good and actually really soared. And it's still a tennis club. I just left this year because of COVID, and I was lucky enough to find California. But oh my God, we had an incredible run. We've done so many things for so many kids. And actually, some of these kids, after being so many years, one of the kids was my dentist, or the other kid was my banker. And
I love it.
So it was incredible because, I met them at their happiest moments. They were all together, socializing, kind of, moving around, doing sports. Yeah. And you see them developing. And also it helped them out physically. All of them, they know that if they are a little down, they can go and do some sports and they're going to feel better, because I always accentuated that, hey, how do you feel? Hey, if you breathe, you're going to feel better. And it actually works for all of us, not only for tennis. That was part of the transition. I got really a lot of help again. A lot of people helped me out. Then I started doing television. I got called by Fox in Spanish for all of the Spanish in Latin America. And I worked on TV since, and, obviously playing tennis. And they gave me the Davis Cup. I was a Davis Cup captain. I've done a lot of things since I stopped competing. A couple of years after, I decided I wanted to compete again to see if I was still playing good. And I won the World Championships 40. So I said, hey, man.
Fabulous.
Congrats. Yeah, so it was great. That was the last time that I competed because my body hurt 10 days, plus I got hurt. So but I got that ego thing out of my head. I'm lucky enough now to be in California, and that's been part of the transition because, oh my God, this place is so beautiful. People around here have been so nice.
What you give out comes back.
I coached kids that actually went on to be the best in their countries, and they tend to do more for other people and other kids. And I can also communicate with them, and once in a while they come and help me out. If you give 100, it comes back 1,000. And on TV, it was great because on TV, I was being extremely nice to some people or some organizations. Even though they told me not to say hello to too many people, I would do it and it would come back. Like, it was incredible. I got so many things, people getting together and talking to each other. I just opened the lines of communication. That's what you are doing, and you saw how it starts working.
Yeah, really trying to do that for people like you, because you're doing incredible things that the more people who can learn about it, the better off it will be both for them and for you, because you'll be able to sustain and continue this.
I was lucky enough the last 4 years as a traveling pro, I would go to the VIP. I would go and meet everybody that I could just to open the line. Once again, open the lines of communication. But some of these people that I met, they would have never really invited me to their office. I was lucky enough that they came to my office. We played tennis. We had a great time. And then all of a sudden, I can communicate with them.
Tennis becomes a platform for engagement, communication, for kids around discipline, life lessons, ethics, morality. It's all of the things that you mentioned, good stuff that you want to impart through a sport.
Responsibility. There's things that there's no way you're going to be an elite anything if you don't have,
Yeah,
the
it's
discipline to wake up early, the feeling the responsibility, knowing that you have to be loyal to people.
Is the tennis academy still running in Florida? Tell me a little bit about that and, the transition to tennis for a purpose.
Yeah, the tennis academy, it's still working in Florida. It's a lot smaller. Obviously, I'm not there, but
Yeah.
there's still a lot of players that come because they've been coming for so many years and they train there. I'm gonna go back and forth eventually,
Yeah.
but I just love it here. It's going good in Miami, but now we want to transition everything. We want to move here all of our efforts
Great.
because I mean we just have so many people that are so receptive.
So, in terms of tennis for a purpose, is it more event focused? Is it more if you'll identify an underprivileged student who like the student that you mentioned? Tell us a little bit, or tell me a little bit about how it works.
Okay, so we have had events that the banks have helped us out, and many and sponsors, and personal sponsorship for events. But we've also helped individuals to accomplish their goals. They're buying them rackets or maybe providing transportation to tournaments. We've used tennis for a purpose with very different things. I mean, there's so many purposes. When you say tennis for a purpose, I mean, I thought of something today because I saw Osaka, for example, who's been training. She's very involved with the music business. So is Serena Williams, for example.
Yeah.
And they would be very much into organizing something like with music and sports. Being in Hollywood, I think that'd be such a hit. We could get maybe sponsor a kid to do tennis, but at the same time, maybe sponsor a kid that could do, go into music.
Well, it sounds like you're open to looking at collaborating with either another nonprofit or an organization. So you're creating again this platform on your side through tennis, but then through your network, through other opportunities that can broaden not the mission, you're still serving underserved communities, but really the what you can offer. So the scholarship too. And I wonder if that is really reflective of your own experience of being tapped as a 13-year-old. I assume you loved tennis, had a passion for it as a younger kid. I think you started playing at age 9.
When I said 9 is because my mom was playing tennis when I was in her stomach. And they put me to sleep. They actually would put my stroller, they would put it on the net because my dad also played, and they would play on top of me.
This is
That's how I would
hysterical.
fall asleep. So
I love it.
but the funny thing is my sister is a good one in my family, which I always thought that she wasn't, but she actually was very, very good. Beat Monica Seles. She beat the #1 players in the world. And
Wow. Hasn't she been involved in the academy as well?
we have our academy in Lima, in Peru, and she's taking care of that. But she's also in charge of the best tennis players, the juniors and the adults, the girls, the women in Peru. She's been traveling around the world. She's actually in Colombia right now with the best junior players.
Wow. So your family has that as a mission to really be able to give back.
The first time I coming from a third world country, there was so much opportunity. In South America, we are very limited compared to what we can do here. So she's doing a lot of things with the resources that she has there. Actually, the best players of Peru, out of the 6 that she has, she's been helping 2 for a long time with everything, pretty much giving them scholarships with everything. But yeah, my parents have always been also involved in helping out the community. I mean, my dad was one of the first people to do public courts in Lima, which was a little bit, to help out. And my parents also did sports. My dad was in the Olympics and my mom was in the University Olympics. We've always been into the discipline and trying to pass that into other people.
Oh, okay, I have to go back to your father being able to create the first public court. As I said in my opening, this has been historically an elitist sport. So the fact that your father had the foresight to recognize that and you carried that legacy forward to helping others who wouldn't typically be able to is quite a statement on your own legacy, frankly.
I was, I'm super proud of what my dad did. You know how he inaugurated a tournament? He did a tournament for all the ball boys of Peru. Actually, people would come, we figured there were going to be, 12, 15 kids. There were almost 180 kids. And he did, I remember because I was 9 years old. The greatest thing is he thought of it not only for kids to become champions and not only to like do something, maybe better with their lives. But he created a lot of jobs. A lot of these kids started teaching, and they were called to other clubs, and people recognized them. So it was a really big event, and we still have the public courts. The federation still has it. I think it's a really important thing to do. It's not only for what you're saying for elitism, but also just to create jobs.
It's skill capacity building. And then on top of it, you're actually contributing to the economy.
At that time, there were a lot of very poor people, okay? In Peru, it's not that it's a lot better now, but when we first came to the clubs, we saw the difference because we're from Argentina. There was a big difference. A lot of these kids ended up playing and representing Peru and doing really, really good. And I just think that it's very important to focus on that, no? On people that don't have the chances to go and play at a club. In Peru now, what I was trying to do the last couple of years was beach tennis, which you have in California. People can play on a public beach, but it hasn't taken off in Peru yet. It has in California, actually.
You do it where the ball stays up in the air, I imagine.
Yeah, it stays up. It's just like badminton. You play on the volleyball courts. I mean, I think you bring the net down a little bit, but there's huge tournaments in Italy. I know that there were a year ago tournaments here. The ball's a little slower. It's an orange ball that you must have seen at the club for the kids.
Yeah, I have.
It's done in a lot of places in the world where people cannot go to a club, like Brazil, for example.
Right. I think that's great because, again, it speaks to access, which is what you're about.
Exactly.
So you are someone who has lots of ideas. You don't sit still. That's clear in a good way. In a good way.
I was trying to sit a little more still and not worry too much, but there's so many opportunities, my God.
What's next? I mean, you talked about the possibility of music and tennis and continuing the sense of scholarship.
My latest idea, okay?
I love it.
And the truth is, I've had it for a while, and I've already talked to some people about it when I was in Miami and in Lima, okay? I want to go to juvenile jail.
Pablo, you are speaking my language.
My best tennis matches, even though I played in Wimbledon, Forest Hills, in all these beautiful places with lots of people and princesses or whatever, my best matches was against the wall, and hours, and actually that's how I got my skill. I just think it would keep people busy, and a lot of the people they have a lot of time on their hands. I haven't been in jail, but no, whatever. Let's leave it there.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, exactly. So. But I just really think that I could achieve this. It's easy to do, and I just have to get the right strings. I don't want to get anything back, but imagine they might get out, and they have a skill, and hopefully they can start doing something with it. I'm not going to tell you that they're going to be the best champions of the world, but maybe teach someone else, maybe get into more of a family ambiance through sports. Right away, I know that you agree with me that would be a great idea.
100%. I love the idea because, number one, it's juvenile, so the likelihood that the offender will be able to leave and in hopefully a better sense of self once they start to build this kind of skill and see success. And it's athletic, so they're using up energy in a positive way. I think it's a brilliant idea.
You know what I want to do at the club? To get the juniors, the good juniors, to start playing with some of the adults. Because you'll see they all feed from each other. It's everybody's level goes up, and then it's fun to hang around the kids also.
It's really fun, and I think they're really amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. Some of them are really good. They're getting really good.
Some of the events that you've done, did people just jump in because they know who you are? How did you get them going?
In general, well, it's a combination of everything. I mean, they normally don't go just because of me. I mean, I just try to create the event by finding people that would be interested in doing this type of event. The bigger one that we had last year, we passed out the word through Instagram, through Facebook. We actually got a great response.
My guess is you believe not everyone's going to be at Wimbledon. You've said that, or the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
You believe in tennis as a mechanism to reach potential, whether it's discipline, whether it's determination, or
it's got nothing to do with a ball going inside of a square. Words resonate in my head, the supportive ones that we could share, but I want to go into something a little deeper. You don't know how much you can hurt someone by telling them, hey, your legs are too skinny to play tennis. You look like a chicken. You cannot concentrate. You should concentrate. Like, you can really suppress
Yes.
life of a person.
You're going to correct and you're going to edit, but if you can give them some boosting, it allows them to take more chances, right? To try a little bit, be a little more courageous on the court. Versus if someone comments on something that's negative about them, that's the thing that may stay in their head.
I'm not only talking about tennis. I mean, because sometimes there's things going on around a tennis court. Actually, I think of a tennis match as like life at 1,000,000 miles an hour, So if I validate, especially kids, man, teenagers go through some changes that's another thing. Hey, remember, this is you now. Like, next year you're another person. Maybe you're feeling uncoordinated now. But with everybody, I think it's important to validate.
Small and Gutsy is sponsored by the Intrinsic Group, my boutique management consulting firm specializing in guiding organizations to leverage talent, optimize processes, and to ensure the organization's narrative is aligned with their culture. We'd love to invite you to be a sponsor. So if you're interested in sponsoring Small and Gutsy to keep it going, please reach out to me at reachus@theintrinsicgroup.com. I have always toward the end of my podcast, a round of quick and gutsy questions.
I'm super gutsy.
So, all right, our first quick gutsy question.
It wasn't me. Oh,
you're so funny. What is at the top of your wish list for Tennis for a Purpose, but the answer can't be money or funding?
This is where I get a little bit thinking of me a little bit also, because I know that there's so much that I can do that is actually going to come back to me, and then I'm going to be able to do more. So I don't know if is that an answer?
Yes, it's an answer. And what I hear in that is you're a giver first. And when you give out, you receive much more sometimes than you
so it's a little selfish, huh?
Oh, no, not at all. I think it's I think it's the opposite. I don't think you give to get. I think you give knowing that there are other people who will respond. And so they naturally want to give back.
One person can do some things, but two persons can, it makes it a lot easier and more and more. So that's my answer.
So my wish for you is that you continue to spread that so that your network grows and grows and grows.
I really like people. I actually want people to like me. It's kind of strange. In the area that I'm at, the club, that area, there's so many people that want to do things, and I think I've landed in a fantastic place for me. Creative people also, I think in this area, people want to create. And actually for me, to create is to survive. Actually to produce too, but if I don't feel any energy to do things, I don't feel that well.
So if you were to think of a song that describes Tennis for a Purpose, what would it be?
I really love music of right now. But the message of the songs normally don't get to me. I'm more of a mover. I start dancing and listening to the rhythm.
And not the words,
especially the song that just won the Grammy right now, that I thought it was a cat that fell on the pool and got so.
In this podcast, you have taught me so much, and one of the things is the rhythm of the ball. I had never really thought about that.
I'm going to teach you another one. It's called timing. So you can do it today. You breathe in. You breathe in when the ball bounces, and you breathe out when you hit it. You'll see that you start playing so much better, and you don't get tired.
The idea of music as a contributor to that rhythm, of course it is, but I didn't connect the two, right?
Not only that, many coaches, as I was growing up, were telling me, Pablo, what were you thinking? Because what happens is that I always had a song in my head. So I actually said, well, maybe the problem was that. And a lot of people thought that was a problem.
No.
Actually, it would have been the solution.
Absolutely.
29, there could have been 9 maybe in the world.
Yeah. Listen, you did incredibly well, but I love that connection. And I think music is really important, and breath work, as you said. Pablo, you've mentioned that playing a song or having a song in your head while you're hitting the tennis ball is an effective way to focus your concentration and get a rhythm going. And you talked about this young girl. So I know you have a favorite song, and we'd like to play it for our listeners. So here it goes.
Come on, donate. Help us give.
What makes Tennis for a Purpose gutsy? What makes your organization gutsy?
Well, because in my position, I could just go and teach kids that are the best in the world. I can call right now anybody and I go, hey, listen, I'm in LA right now, and we have 4 or 5 of the best players in the US. Call the USTA. The director is one of my best friends, but I want to see if I can make a difference on the base, on hundreds and hundreds of kids, thousands of kids that are not gonna have maybe the chance to play like me in Monte Carlo or Wimbledon, whatever, but that they will discover that through sports you can cure yourself.
Yeah.
You can actually stress. That's why I think it's gutsy. And sometimes the parents of these kids are not sports related, so they cannot really understand why a kid has to, maybe if he starts getting good, wake up 1 hour before going to school and try to go for a run, or things that discipline is going to give him. So I think that's why it's gutsy.
What is something that outsiders or maybe even insiders don't know about Tennis for a Purpose?
I think that what people don't know is the amount of time that it takes. I don't know. It's like a hobby, it's like fun, like, okay, it takes time, but I'm learning a lot from it. So I think what people don't understand is like the more you work, the more things are going to, the more results you're going to have. So
Yeah.
I guess that's the secret. It's actually, I'm lucky that I have work. I think to have a purpose is the best thing to have in life. My dad is 95 right now, and he wants to direct the academy right now again, after like,
I love it.
well, Dad, please, I know that there's ball machines, but you cannot be, but whatever. And like, you know what I mean? Like, he wants a purpose to keep him, to keep him happy and alive.
Of course. I think you said that's such a wise thing to say, is we all need to feel relevant and to have a purpose. And when we have a purpose, at least in this context for you, and I feel the same way for myself, when you're able to give back, that purpose has even more meaning and is more relevant and is more powerful. And that's what maybe outsiders or even some insiders don't really know. Last quick and gutsy question. If you could get one celebrity or influencer to endorse or talk about Tennis for a Purpose, who would it be?
Justin Bieber. Yeah,
Okay.
and I hear his wife plays tennis, so maybe we can organize music and tennis with him.
You could. That's a great idea, and you're in the right spot to do it. One other quick question. How should people reach you if they want to donate or help you plan an event, or what's the best way to reach you, Pablo?
I mean, we have a GoFundMe right now.
Great.
To just to keep it moving, but we're doing our website, but that's probably the best way, no? But I'm all over the media. I'm in Instagram, Facebook. Mostly it's Pablo Arraya Tennis.
Tennis. Yeah, you say Arraya so much better than I do.
Yeah, I'm a master pronouncing my own name.
So I just want to thank you for spending this time with me. It was really incredible. I appreciate everything that you're doing, your approach to life, your enthusiasm, how you consider teaching. I love the idea of working with the juvenile justice system would be amazing.
Amazing, right? Get a kid out of there that's going to be amazing and change the world.
What a story that would be, right? Yeah. What a beautiful story and a beautiful opportunity for young people to take advantage of your willingness to support them.
And they're the future. One way or another.
So, Pablo, thank you so much.
Thank you for reaching out to me. That's so nice of you. And I'll see you at the tennis courts.
Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Give us some stars and write a review on Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, or buy us a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/small and gutsy. So here's this week's shout out. Amazing podcast from Forrest T9. I've listened to several episodes of this podcast so far, and I love the concept, guests, and the host, Laura. All of the nonprofits and organizations featured are incredible. This podcast has given me so much more information on this sector than I'd had previously, and gives so much more context on how people turn personal pain and systemic issues into opportunities for growth and good. Beautiful stories. Thank you, Laura and guests, for creating such a necessary, thoughtful podcast. Wow. Thank you, Forrest T9. I'm pretty overwhelmed by that review and so appreciate it. And it's folks like you that keep us going in search of interviewing great organizations that truly have a social impact. I want to thank my partners in this endeavor, my co-producer, sound engineer, and composer, the amazing Pablo Arraya, my exceptionally talented graphic designer, Nate Addy, my social work intern extraordinaire, Stephanie Tran. Please check out their bios on the Intrinsic website, and all the folks, friends, and family who have guided and inspired me. Our blog of these small and gutsy nonprofits and social impact organizations can be found in the organizational stories section of the Intrinsic Group website, so that we can continue to link clients, volunteers, future employees, investors, and donors to this small but mighty network. Of course, we can't take responsibility outside of our own vetting of the organizations we interview, so before you sign on to support or work for them, we encourage you to do your own due diligence and research them as well. We just want you to learn about the small and gutsy nonprofit and social impact organizational sector so they can spread their story and their impactful work. From small and gutsy to big with impact, I'm Laura Witkoff, and thanks for listening.